Right. We're going. Right. Afternoon, everyone. I'm here with David, who is a fellow wedding industry supplier. So, David, I'll let you introduce yourself and tell us what it is that you do.
I run David Lee Events, which is primarily David Lee, the wedding DJ. So basically, I DJ at people's weddings, and I do the whole day or just the evening. And at the moment, I do some lighting as well, like festoons, up lighting. But I'm looking to scale them down over the oncoming years, as I'm not getting any younger, and doing all-day weddings and stuff is fun enough as it is. So yeah. Primarily the DJs, music, that's me.
Okay, cool. How long have you been doing it for?
Been DJing 25 years. I've been doing it as a job, proper job, shall we say, for about 15, 16 years, and I've been full-time about 12 years.
Okay, so it was a kind of gradual journey.
Yeah, it started off as just doing the odd. I mean, my first one was at a New Year's Eve in a pub in Luton, which is where I'm from. And then from there, I did a couple more, and it just sort of turned into a little bit of extra cash as it was back then. And it slowly progressed and I evolved, and materialised into a full-time job as it is now.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think with me, that's how the photography's kind of manifested. Is it was a hobby for me for very many years, and then it was to coin a phrase, it was a bit on the side, and then it turned into full-time last summer, essentially. So really bad timing on my part in terms of deciding to jump ship from full-time employment, but never mind, it's giving me some time now. So given that it's full-time for you, under normal circumstances, when the industry is running as it should be, what's a normal day or working week like for you?
Well, a normal day is sort of Monday to Thursday, and it's sort of just replying to inquiries, customer questions, making sure you've got any music that clients have requested online and stuff. Just making sure that everything's working, and to do more of the social and website aspect and admin aspect of the business. And then you've got the working week, usually from Friday to Sunday, which is more music and event focused for that weekend. So, like I say, you can be making sure that all the gear is sorted and prepped ready. Normally what I do is, because my customers get online planner, they can build their own playlist online. So usually on the Monday, I'm getting that playlist, make sure I've got all their songs, that I'm sorting that playlist. So I've got like all the 80s together, all the indies together, that kind of thing. Not so much a running order, but just groups of songs. So I've got them on the night. And I'm just making sure that when I turn up, I've got the names, the music, the equipment all sorted. So there's less fluffing and hassle from me. And I literally just turn up, say hi, hope you're having a good day. This is where I'll be for the night. And if they want to talk to me, they can do. But otherwise, I try to leave them alone. And Sundays is exactly the same, unless I'm not got a job on, in which case it's nothing.
Yeah, a nothing day is a really good day, isn't it?
I mean, the thing is, I've been doing this so long now, and it's like I got kids, and they're now not kids, so to speak, but so we always tried to make Sunday the family day if I wasn't working, so it was always the day off. Yeah. And now they're not kids so much; it's harder to take you away. Well, I could just do this, and I could just do that, but I do try to maintain Sunday is a family day, regardless of whether the family are doing something together or not, just so that me and the wife can just chill in the garden if need be, or go and do something.
That's really interesting that you said, because my son's grown up. He's 20, left home in September, so I did have a bit of empty nest syndrome briefly, and then that went away. And it's come back again now because he's not here and we can't see him. But Sunday was one of our days where we'd get in the car and go over and take them out for lunch or whatever. So yeah, I do get that need to have a down day, if you like, just to.
I think when you work for yourself, I think it's hard to not do something.
Yes.
You know what I mean. It's not just doing the job. It's not just turning up at the wedding. It's everything beforehand and all the little bits you've got to do to make it work. Whether it's SEO, whether it's social media, whether it's websites, whether it's gear, editing pictures, whatever, you know, and there's always something you can be doing. So to actually turn off is at any time during the week a pretty hard thing, I think. But that's why we try to keep Sundays the one day where, regardless, you know, it's feet up.
Yeah, it's the interesting thing about self-employment, isn't it? I think it must be true of anything, because I know when I was a teacher, the perception is 8:30 till 3:30 and all those wonderful holidays. Yeah, the stereotype.
Yeah.
And you make assumptions about what life is going to be like in different circumstances. And one of the things I found about being sort of freelance, self-employed, because I'm doing photography and I'm doing some tutoring as well, sometimes you end up just working and working and working because it kind of takes over, doesn't it? And takes some discipline to avoid that, I think. So in terms, I need to ask you this: what's the weirdest request you've had for a song DJing?
Oh, the weirdest request for a song. I tell you what, it's a good example of why I do what I do, actually, when you think about it. I'm all about the music. It's not about me. I'm not on the mic all the time. So it's all about me. This is why I give my customers their online planner. And the whole point of that is that they can tell me what music they like, don't like, and specific songs. And I generally don't question it, because I nowadays people listen to all sorts of music, just not what Radio 1 or your local independents playing, you know. So they can put songs that they were. This one song, it's called Drinking Alone by a group called Ringlefinch. I've never heard of it before. I've never heard of it since. I've never played it since. And I was kind of a bit stumped as to how to play it, because I like my music to flow. So this is a clean swap between genres or styles. And this didn't fit with anything else they'd asked for. So I had a bit of the night where I thought, we'll try and squeeze it in there, and the night was coming, people were dancing, it was all a good night. I put it on and everyone went mental, and it was just sort of stupid, and the groom got picked up and walked around, you know, on everybody's shoulders and sort of carried around the room and stuff. And it's one of those things, I've never heard this song, this group, never played it before, never played it since, but if I hadn't have played it, the night would have still been fine. But because I did play it, it was better. It made a really great moment in the middle of the night. But yeah, as weird as songs go, or weirdest request, that would probably be it. Yeah.
But then it clearly meant something to the people who were there, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what it turned out, because I had to ask at the end of the evening, and apparently it was a rowing song from when they were at uni or something. And you know, it's that kind of thing that I won't know, and I won't even think to go there because it's not something I know. But it made the night that much more because I did play it. They did tell me beforehand. So yeah.
So in terms of your process, are you technology based, or are you still using good old fashioned decks?
No. I was quite late changing over, to be fair. I've probably been laptop digital for about 5-6 years, I think. And I'm glad I have, because since taking online requests and stuff like that beforehand, it allows you to find songs instantly.
Yes.
rather than having all these CDs or vinyl and stuff to flick through to have this one song on this one album that you've never played before and never play again. Whereas now digital, you can sort of get the song and it's like it's there. You can just off you go, and it just makes it so much more. I think having vinyl might be better if you're genre-based DJ only. Like if you're all 80s, or if you're sort of indie or something, you can have all your 12 inches and your whatever. And I think you only need to cater for that. And if you're playing to a crowd rather than being paid for by a customer, you can play what you want. So having your own selections is up to you what you've got. You're not there to take requests. Whereas when you do what I do, you need to have what they want within reason, you know. So
it's that customer focus thing, isn't it? But
yeah,
in terms of, so I asked this of a lot of people who've taken something that was initially hobby based, however many years ago, and taken it into professional. Has it impacted on your enjoyment of music personally, the fact that you work with music all of the time?
Yes and no. I still love music, and I still get a buzz out of playing a song that you've got a full dance floor and they reach another level because you've just dropped something, or you've got a few people dancing, you play one and you can just hear the, oh my God, their hands go in the air and they start running towards the dance floor. That kind of thing, it's still the same now as it is when I first started doing it. From a different aspect, there are songs I don't listen to personally anymore because I've had my fill, you know. Prime example is The Best, Tina Turner. All right, when it came out, I wasn't a DJ. I don't think it was a long while back, and I liked it. I bought the album, great song. I played it a lot just to listen to it. Then I became a DJ. You start off and you have to do your pub gigs and your birthday parties, and everybody wanted the best, and it was great. Everybody was, oh, I sent you the best, hands in the air. And I'm like, I'm done. I skip it. If it comes up on any playlist I'm listening to anywhere ever, I skip. It doesn't stop me playing it if I'm at a party. I just personally, I've had my fill of that one song.
Yeah, I get that.
I've done it. I'm done. You know. Yeah. Mr. Brightside, again, it's another one. I don't mind it so much when I'm playing it at parties because it's loud and there's an atmosphere and all the rest of it. But unless I've got that aspect of it now, I can't. I skip when it comes up on stuff. You know, it's like I've done it enough now.
Yeah. So have you done, like, I love music. It's the one thing that if somebody said to me, you can only have music or books or TV, then music would be it. That, you know, don't take away. I love
my movies. I do. I really love my movies, but music, no contest.
Absolutely, but I would consider my musical taste like really eclectic, and I think it's something to do with my upbringing, and you know, lots of things have shaped that. Like some stuff's quite niche, isn't it? Have you done any gigs or anything where actually the playlist has been like super niche, like all goth or?
Yes. I've done a I say metal wedding, and literally the first half hour was sort of a bit of Manchester sort of indie type stuff, and then after that, for the last 3-4 hours, it was metal. It probably wasn't even rock. It was sort of metal, thrash, new, whatever you want to call it, Disturbed, Nine Inch Nails, everything. You know, Chop Suey. It was just like, it was great. But it's not. Yeah, it's not stuff I listen to on a personal basis, but that's why I get my playlist, and I listen to stuff the week before I'm doing that gig, so I know that song before I go on the night. And then you can put all the metal or the new metal or the thrash metal, all that kind of stuff together. So when you're doing one set and you go, that works after this song will work because of the intros and the outros, you know, and it just works. And it doesn't matter to me what somebody is asking for. If I feel uncomfortable with their kind of music, I won't take the job. You know what I mean? Because it's not worth my reputation. But on the other side of it, I also like to sort of, if I think, yeah, this is going to work, we can make this work, then yeah, doing metal all night. I've done that a couple of times. Once was the last one was at Rochdale Town Hall, so you've got like a big goth building and stuff, and it was great. You know, I did another one where it was indie blues and rock all night, and the tables were named after sort of like Black Keys, Rolling Stones, and Nirvana and stuff. So yeah, niche is not a problem. It's what I kind of cater for to a degree, you know.
Yeah, and that whole, it's interesting because my please forgive me for this, but my perception was that a DJ came along and put a record on and then merged it into the next record, and that there was a kind of, right, so listening to you talking about that preparation and that thinking about how one outro goes into one, that must take a lot of work.
It's a lot of that is experience as much as work on the night, you know. I mean, there's certain songs that, you know, work well mixed together. Some songs have got an ending that fade, and if you've got a killer track that's got a killer intro next, you can have a little pause even. There's a couple of songs I do that to. You know, there's certain songs which you get to learn over time, which you call trigger tracks, which is what, you know, that people are going to run onto the dance floor to this song. If they don't,
Queen.
you know, you're moving on. You don't hang around. So I mean, different DJs work different ways. Don't get me wrong, you know. But this is how I like it. I like my music to flow, and I think about the music, and it's and that's what I think people book me because of that. Because I put on my website quite blatantly all over the place is I'm passionate about music, and people who book me are as well. That's what I find, you know. If you want your party music and your sort of what we call cheesy discos and stuff, dance routine stuff, that's fine. I can do all that. Leave me to do that, not a problem. But there are also loads of DJs who will do that. So you've got to stand out for whatever reason. And my thing is, I will play what you want. If I can't, I won't take the job. And when I do, I will look into it, I'll research it, and I will put effort into it rather than just turning up and playing a list of songs that have no coherent running order. You know, you've got to have a thing, a way, the structure, shall we say.
I love that. I love that that's your unique selling point, that kind of combination of passion and attention to detail in terms of the flow of the music. That's really cool. If I'm having a party, I'm booking you. So yeah, and that's on video now. So, you know, there's no getting out of that. So what aspect of what you do brings you the most joy? What's the bit that you get the best buzz off?
The dance floor. It's the dance floor. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love getting the thank you notes. And to be fair, you get them less these days. You get you'll get a text or an email saying thanks, you were great, awesome, blah blah blah. But usually the bride and groom will come back from their honeymoon, and then they'll get sorted and get back life to normal. Then about 6 weeks, 8 weeks later, you get something through the letterbox. They're getting that thing through the letterbox after I've forgotten. I've done 4 or 5 weddings since they've got on with their lives, and you get this thing through the letterbox. And it's like, yeah, thanks, that makes it, you know. Yeah. But that doesn't happen as much now. It's not that I don't thank you. It's just you get an email the next day in the morning or something, and it's like everything's still fresh. There's no surprise. But the dance floor, just having a full dance floor, the hands in the air, and then just, you know, well, I think that's it for any DJ, whatever genre you do, whether you're a club DJ, whether you're you're whatever. The dance floor is what it's all about, and you know, having people sort of not so much shout your name, so to speak, but just enjoying the music, jumping up and down like idiots, pulling faces at, you know, and it's great. It's just great. I mean, I can have an hour's journey on the way home, and with those nights, you can get home and you're thinking, right, I've still got to kill time because I can't sleep. I'm still on such a high, you know.
Buzzing from it, yeah, absolutely. In terms of, so let's just ignore lockdown for a minute. But prior to lockdown, what would you say has been your biggest challenge with the business, and how have you overcome it?
The biggest challenge was probably deciding when I'd sort of evolved over about 2 or 3 different phases, and at one point there was a point. I don't think they're still live actually, but there used to be a website called Groovy Nights Discos, which is what I was, and I wanted to go from that to a proper professional looking sounding being DJ. And everyone kept saying, you can't charge this kind of money around here, you can't do that around here. And I looked and there were people doing it. So my challenge was to get myself in a position where I was happy with my image. I wasn't feeling like I was somebody else, or I wasn't comfortable with that. And then charging what I wanted, because there was a point when you're going out for £100, you're thinking, yeah, great, and then you realise you might as well have worked at Tesco's or something, because you realise that the money you spent getting all the equipment and insurance, getting the music, and you're not home on a Saturday night or a Friday night as well. And it's like, now my biggest challenge was going professional. I think was I then realising when the moment came to actually jump. That was scary. But yeah, I think going professional was for me, deciding I wanted to raise where I was, regardless of what other people were saying, and going for it. I'm so glad I did.
Yeah, you see, from my point of view, and people who've sort of been with me on Twitter for a while know that I kind of the decision to go pro was my choice, but kind of because circumstances were such that it was what it was. I lost my job to all intents and purposes, and it really kind of brutalized me at the time. But one of the things that I found really difficult when I first went pro was getting past that thing of bookings at any cost. So I'll do a home portrait shoot for 50 quid or whatever, and 2 things to that. Firstly, this sort of devaluing of the product, not just me but photography in general, that comes about by people like me stepping into the profession and going, well, I'll just charge whatever I need to keep a roof over my head at the moment, rather than actually charging the value of what it's worth. And I think my big learning thing about going pro is exactly what you've just said, that whole thing about, well, actually I've got business insurance, I've got all my gear, I've got 30 years worth of learning and development in terms of my photography. So actually, yes, you are paying for my time and you're paying for my processing time, but you're actually paying for all of that development and experience, and it's not unreasonable to expect that, is it?
No.
Because that's what the big brands do.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, people. I think I got myself to a point where I think service is more important than price. Yeah. And everybody's interested in the price, don't get me wrong. And if they can get the same service somewhere else, or they can, I look at it as a failure on my part if someone inquires with me and doesn't book me, because unless it's something glaringly obvious, like they want this and I'm that. But generally speaking, because I put my price on my website, for my evening DJ, all days are different, but yeah, for me evening disco, it's kind of like giving a price before they've even inquired with me. So they've got a rough idea of what my fee's going to be for that evening. So it's if they can't see past that, then I've failed, not the customer, because I haven't explained to them my worth to them better. That's the way I look at it, because it is service, not a product. So you can't go. People can go, oh, these trainers are great, these trainers are crap, and you look at them and you can see. Whereas with this, they've only got your words to it, and so it is when you do supplier service, it is a tough call, but you have to do everything you can to make the customer realise that this, I'm worth what I'm asking for.
And so that's really interesting, because I'm still at the stage where if somebody makes an inquiry with me and then it doesn't go on to convert, I take that personally.
Don't, you'll kill yourself for ages. It used to do me until I realised that it's not. I mean, especially with you, or with photographers, I should say, you're all going to have your own style. So you might have two people who are charging the same, who appear on paper to be offering the same, and this has that kind of lighting or style to their images, and you might have this kind of imaging, and it's just a personal preference. There's nothing against you or how much you charge. I mean, if you were cheaper, they might have picked you because they like both styles, but they might like the other one more and pick that one anyway. So then you still would have been lost. So I don't. I used to. I know where you're coming from. Don't get me wrong, and it wasn't easy, but yeah, forget it's personal. It is just business at the end of the day. When people book you, then you can make it personal. You know, that's when you can. I mean, I go and see people and have meetings and stuff, and sometimes I can be in and out in 20 minutes. Sometimes I can be sort of an hour and a half, and I feel like we cut that short because we just got carried talking away about music. And then on the day, it's more personal. Everyone's just sort of, you know, that whole thing. But actually getting the booking is not. There's a lot of different factors. Sometimes it's the service, sometimes it's the money, sometimes it's the style, and sometimes it's just that little something that somebody used a word to describe something better than what, or different to what you did, and there's nothing you can do about it. So.
And so, do you look at what your competitor or potential competitors are doing and look at their, you know, their website, their social media, and just look for tweaks and adjustments, or do you not plow that? Because either way there's dangers with that, isn't there?
Absolutely. No, I don't look at them to see how I can change mine. Because the ones who register on Google, shall we say, for similar sort of search terms as me, appear on the websites to be different DJs to me and to each other. So if somebody was looking for and found one of my competitors, and then found me and found another competitor all on the top page of Google, all three of us are different. And so we might all charge similar. One of us might be cheaper, I don't know. And if I try to be like A, I'm then devaluing me.
Yes.
And if I try to be like A and B, I'm even more devaluing me. And then the customers who wanted me won't value me because there's a bit of A and B in me, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, it does. It makes complete sense. And obviously, I mean, you're much more experienced in terms of the business, and these are the hurdles that I'm finding. And I think because of the nature of me as a person, and the fact that I do overthink things, like to the point where they consume me sometimes. I think some of the running of the business is actually more about learning how to handle and let go of certain things, and just
if you have no control over it, let it go. It's easier said than done, I grant you, but let it go because you can't control it. You know, and especially with photography, it's probably easier for a photographer to show what's unique about you than it is for a DJ to show what's unique about him, because it's all words. It's, you know, until somebody books you and you start playing your music and using the mic or not using the mic, or you like this kind of music or that kind of music, until you're actually there on the day playing the music, there's a hell of a lot of trust that has to go involved in it. Whereas with the photographer, again, it's the same thing, but they can see that this photographer's got that kind of image. You know what I mean? Even with wedding photography, there's lots of different styles of photography. And there's how you edit the images for your style and all the rest of it. So people can see what you are or what you offer physically, see, before they book. So there's an element of, this is what we're getting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot more hearsay. It's not probably the right word, but you know what I mean?
Mouth, isn't it?
Yeah, there's such an element of faith that has to go into it. In a lot of in any service that you provide to somebody, they have to buy into it and believe it. So you know, And if you're going to have a niche, going back to where we started this little bit from, if
Mm.
you're going to have a niche, what's the point in having a niche if you're going to dilute it to be like A? Yeah, you've got to believe in what you offer,
Yeah.
the way you offer it, and if it doesn't work, you've got to figure out how to make it work, because otherwise you're going to be something completely different, you know.
Yeah, completely get that.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the inevitable. We are where we are. It's lockdown. Obviously, that's going to have had a significant impact on you, as it has done the rest of us who are in the wedding industry and most industries. What are you doing? How are you getting through? What's
I'm not. Again, it's one of those things. I can't do nothing about it. So what I'm trying to do is I'm still getting up early every morning. I'm still spending the mornings doing admin stuff, like websites or social media or pictures and stuff for the websites, and because I want it to be. I don't want to come out of it going, I wish I had just done this. You know, I mean, there's never going to be an opportunity again to get on top of stuff, and you know, just be knowing that when it opens up again, that things are going to be, I wouldn't say mentally busy, but it's going to. I would like to think people are going to be going, right, let's release the foot off the brake, let's get going, let's do stuff. Because, like I say, at the moment, I haven't been out and had a dance floor moment for 3 months now. It's going to be at least probably 4.5, 5 months before I get my first wedding. I think at this moment, the way it's looking, and that's going to be nearly half a year not doing what I love, doing my job for. The rest of the stuff I put up with, so that I can go out there and fill the dance floors.
Yeah.
And I haven't done it. And it's like, you know, I try not to think about it, because I think if I think about that aspect too much, that's when I start going a little bit batty.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. In terms of, so obviously what's next is kind of, we have to wait and see with lockdown, I guess.
Yeah, because you just don't know. I mean, I had a couple of people who, all the weddings that I have had in this time, or would have had, should I say, have been able to move to another date. There's one that hasn't, because their friend was letting them use their pub, as old Victorian pub, and they were going to have that. But obviously, with the pub being locked down, they can't do anything until that. So I've got another one which is just waiting for dates to free up, that they can then start picking dates for. But other than that, it's just being ready for when people start feeling confident again. You know, it's been there for these inquiries for 2021, because what 2021 bride and grooms need to realise is that more dates are going to be filled from 2020 brides, because they're having to move.
Yeah.
So, you know, normally I'm saying yes to, I'm available to all these inquiries that be coming in, and at the moment the inquiries have slowed down a little, but afterwards their days are going to be filled up, because as the longer lockdown goes on, the more brides are going to have to change their dates.
Yeah.
And I've got some in June that have still got their dates booked in for June. Whether they're going to have to move because lockdown's still down, who knows? I mean, we're only April, fingers crossed and all that, but if we're talking mass gatherings, we're talking 100, 200 people in a small space, and who knows? But,
yeah. And in terms of, because I know it's one of the things that a lot of people in different groups that I'm in, particularly focused on the wedding industry, there seems to be a lot of sort of different. I mean, I know what legal position is in terms of deposits and things like that, but there just seems to be such a wide range of practice happening in terms of whether people are being flexible with clients or not. I mean, I'm hearing some absolute horror stories about what my attitude is. My clients that are booked with me, if they have to reschedule and my date is free, then that's fine. They just shift.
absolutely.
And if they want their money back, they get their money back.
Yeah, I've only had one who I couldn't accommodate, but they had already paid their initial deposit quite a few months ago, so they would have lost that either way. But it's but the date they moved it to, I was already booked for this year before the virus started, so it would have been one of those things. I did suggest other dates, and I know it's not that easy, but other than that, everyone else I've accommodated for, and you have to. I know it's like being paid once for 2 days, the date that they had and the date they're going to have. But I think that's where we have to be as flexible as possible and just say it's not their fault, it's not our fault. We've all got to give a little, and do what we can to make this as painless and stress-free as possible.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the big arguments that I seem to be. I don't know. I feel like that there's sort of almost a divide in terms of how people are approaching it, and a lot of people seem to be getting a little bit not rude, not angry, but sort of, if people are asking to book their dates for next year now instead because they're needing to move them, then that means I'm gonna miss a potential new booking next year. But I kind of don't see it like that, in terms of the booking is next year. It's next year. I've lost this booking anyway because of this situation. It's
like I say, you can look at it as blank and black and white. You can say, yes, they booked me for that date, I'm not doing that date now, not through my fault, I'm not doing it, and all the rest of it. And whether you've got a legal point on that in your contract, that's up to you to discuss with your customers. But from a personal point of view, I can't do that. I mean, weddings are the one day where you want that one day to be stress-free and hassle-free as possible, and you want to be turning up and everybody wants to be there. You want all your suppliers to be there, and everybody's doing what they want to be doing, and turning up and just having to have second, third choices because your original guy is not going to be flexible and do this, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. It just puts an edge on everything else. And no, I just don't. I can't work that way.
It comes back to being service focused, doesn't it?
Absolutely, customer focused. You've got, it's just we're all in this together, especially this virus thing, and there's no easy way to do anything at the moment. So, but if you know in advance that you're not going to be getting quite as much for doing next year's jobs, then cut your cloth accordingly, and try and ease off this. Maybe don't expand on that, and just because in 12 months this is all going to be sort of, I would like to think, sort of filtered out from a booking point of view. And we'll be back to relative normality. So it just means putting things on hold until we see how this transpires. I mean,
are you optimistic that, because me and friends have been talking about this, and we were kind of like, there's going to be quite a lot of parties going on when we get to the other side of all of this. So are you optimistic that actually there might be a positive, a bit of a...
I'm for weddings, I'm busy in December at the moment because I've had some bookings move over to there. Plus, I think I've had a couple of inquiries from people saying that their DJ can't now do the date they're having to move it to. So I think because other people aren't being flexible or can't be flexible, I get it. It then means other dates are becoming available to other people. So I think there's an element of, I can't do it, but someone else can. Someone else can't do it, I can. And it will be a bit of give and take all the way around the services, I think, because the venues are only going to have certain dates, and that's going to be the primary factor, the date that the venue can give. And then from there, it's going to filter down to what's important to the bride and groom as to who they have and what they, who's available to do that day. And there will be, I would like to think that I'm thinking October onwards, people will start letting their hair down a bit and realising, this is going to be, we can make this forgettable and have a good time, and not and think, oh, this is what we were doing sort of 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah, I get that. Right, so bringing it to a close, but I want to know, So you said before you love movies, so movie recommendation, a lockdown movie recommendation, and please don't say Contagion or anything like that.
Wouldn't dream of it, but Outbreak on the other hand. Yeah. No, I've done that. I've done them. Contagion's fun. Um, there's loads. I mean, with the Netflix and Amazon and whatever else. I don't know. I mean, this week we as a family are doing the Mission Impossible series. Just because I'm getting fed up having to spend half an hour choosing a movie to watch when we're eating. You know, it's like, oh man, can we just do a series of movies and not have to worry about it for 3-4 days?
Yeah, get that.
Impossible 1 to 6. So we've done 3. So you know, it's I don't know. What did I watch? I watched Brian Banks last night, which is on Netflix, which was pretty good. About a college footballer wrongfully accused. And other than that, we also watched Shaft recently, the Samuel Jackson, which was fun. Nothing too brain taxing, like, you know. But there's loads of good stuff out there. I just haven't spent too long thinking about it now.
Yeah, I get that. Okay, and then to put you on the spot, top 3 albums ever. What are your top 3 favourites?
Oh, crikey. Top 3 albums. First one would have to be Tracy Chapman. The self-titled album, first one. I think it's the first one with Fast Car. And every time I get a new sound system or at home and stuff, and it's like that goes on. That's I just love that album. Every time I put it on. If I'm looking for something a bit different, oh crikey, 3 albums.
Yeah.
I like Road to Hell, Chris Rea. But that would be a fight between, if I was using Chris Rea, I'd have a fight between that and Dancing Down Stony Road. James' Greatest Hits is sometimes I don't get to play it enough. Sometimes, you know, it's I love it. I don't know. There's
too many. So because people do this, you know, when you get those Facebook challenges like your top 10 albums, for me it always seems to depend on how I'm feeling that day.
Yeah,
I mean Purple Rain would always be at the top for me. Yeah.
I can feel that one. Yeah, definitely. Oh, you've already got Doves crying in my head now.
Sorry about that. You'll have to go and listen to it now.
Yeah. I mean, I love Hot Fuzz as long as I skip Mr. Brightside now.
Yeah.
But there's
too many to mention. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this to a close and I'm going to leave you with that, and it's going to play on your mind now for the rest of the afternoon. So can I just say thank you? It's been absolutely lovely. You've made me quite cheerful this afternoon. Would you be good enough to send me links to website and whatever else that you want me to link into, so that when we post this, people can find you and so on and so forth. And when I do organise that party, I will be after you.
You do that.
I will. It's been lovely to talk to you.
Likewise. Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Bye.